You might be asking yourself, Rob, why would you be reviewing a 37-year-old movie, with stars that really haven't been in the news lately or anything like that? It's just a kind of a movie out of nowhere. Well, a couple of months ago, I met Rachel at Retropalooza Houston, and she does a podcast along with Nyoka called Operation Evil, and they wanted me to be on their podcast. So I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And the podcast that I listened to was about At Close Range, and it was about the true story that this is based on. And after listening to the podcast, I'm like, you know what? Let's check this movie out. Let's talk about At Close Range. Reunited with his career criminal father, tough teen Brad thinks he's found his ticket to an exciting life of crime, only to find out he's wrong. The movie stars Sean Penn, Christopher Walken, and Mary Stuart Masterson. Now I gotta say, the tagline for this movie is kind of hilarious. It's like father, like son, like hell. I don't know. It's like when I saw when I was looking for it, trying to see if it was streaming anywhere, I saw the poster and it just cracked me up. But it isn't available for streaming anywhere. And I was like, why? Well, why is this not streaming anywhere? But I rented it. I rented it on Apple iTunes and watched it. And whoa. I will say the first half of the movie or so is pretty slow in setting up the characters, setting up the world, the poverty that some of these people are living in, and they're resorting to crime to kind of make ends meet. It's a kind of an unflinching view at what life is like for some of these people. At times it almost feels like the dialogue is just made up on the spot, like they just said, well, let's just try a few things. And at times it just makes the acting feel awkward. It's a little strange. But I will say, when the things start moving, when the plot really starts kicking in, man, does it kick in. But let's talk about some of the actors. I mean, this is 1986, okay? So you've got Sean Penn and his brother, Chris Penn. I think it's his first movie or one of his first movies. I've always been a fan of Chris Penn, and unfortunately, he died at 40 years old. So we only have a limited amount to look at his career. But he always played characters that were really, really interesting, very intense, and in this case, very likable. I liked his character, and it shows a little bit of his early acting brilliance in this movie. And like I said, it's just a shame that unfortunately his life was cut short. Eileen Ryan plays Brad Jr., which is Sean Penn, and Tommy, which is Chris Penn, plays their grandma. That's actually their mother playing his grandmother, which is kind of strange. But it was also cool because apparently Sean Penn and his mom have worked together in like 7 different movies, I think, which is kind of cool. There are small, interesting parts here, played by characters that you might recognize. One of them is Crispin Glover, and his first line in the movie is a bit of a, wow, okay, no punches being pulled here. Another one is Kiefer Sutherland, which is kind of interesting because I think he only has like 3 lines in the whole movie, but he's featured on the cover of the Blu-ray, like up in the top right-hand corner, and I'm like, but he's in the movie. He's definitely in the movie, but he's barely in the movie. And this is also one of his first performances. A couple of members of the crew that Christopher Walken's, character has, a couple of character actors in there as well. You got David Strathairn, who was in some of the Bourne movies. He was in one of my favorite movies, Sneakers. He was also in The Firm. He played Tom Cruise's older brother in that. Great character actor. I know he's done a ton of work. And then we have Tracy Walter, who played Bob the Goon in Batman 1989. So it was kind of interesting to see all of these character actors being in this movie. It's pretty cool. For me, Sean Penn is one of those actors who, I don't know. I think he turns off some people. Like the way that he portrays characters, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't work for some people. For me, he's always been sort of hit or miss. Sometimes he's just completely brilliant, and sometimes it's like, what are you doing here? I feel like, he's 25, 26 years old when he was filming this. So he shows moments of brilliance, but toward the end is when he really shows what he can do. And it was actually really, I was actually wanting more. And then the movie ends. So it's kind of like, okay, that's a weird thing. But I think he's a great actor, and it's cool to see this kind of early performance from him. Really, this movie though, it focuses around Brad Sr., Christopher Walken's character, and it is an intense performance. I have never felt like afraid of Christopher Walken like ever in a movie. Like, he is horrifying in this role, because I mean, we watch movies about, Thanos and Darth Vader and all these characters, right? The Joker. But here's a character based on a real person, and he is terrifying. And it is just, it's an amazing performance. Jack Nicholson and Robert De Niro apparently were attached at some point to this role of Brad Sr., and they both bowed out of it because they said it was too dark. Jack Nicholson and Robert De Niro are saying that. So it's, wow. Some of the things that this character does is like, I can't believe this is real, that this is based on a true story. And from what I've been able to kind of find out, I guess, especially after listening to that podcast and after doing my own little research, this movie is actually really close to what happened. I mean, there's some dramatic things, especially toward the end, a confrontation that happens that probably wouldn't be possible, but there are some things there that aren't true, but there's a lot of it that is, and that is really, really impressive to me, and it kind of turns your stomach even more knowing how close to reality this thing was. So look, overall, was this worth my time? Absolutely. I really enjoyed watching the movie. I enjoyed listening to the Operation Evil, their podcast, listening to the backstory of the, I guess, the truth behind this story. I'll say it's worth watching. I mean, there's so many times today, and I'm talking about in this age, where, you get tired of the same old thing, right? You get tired of the superhero movies. You get tired of the crazy comic booky racing movies, whatever you want to say, right? Go back and watch some of these older films. Some of them are real gems, and I feel like this one, I think more people should watch it. I mean, yeah, I think so. So, have you seen At Close Range? I mean, it was always one that because I loved the song Live to Tell, it was always something I wanted to watch. I never did, because I was very, very young when this movie came out. But I'm curious if anybody else has seen it and what they thought of it. Let's talk about it down in the comment section. All right? So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.